Drifter is without a doubt the most unique character Risk of Rain has ever added to their game. And no, it's not because she's the size of a child. Size doesn't matter. Nope, it's because she can stuff just about anything in her bag, throw them back out at other enemies, turn them into junk, generate temporary items, reroll any item, spawn a magic box that kind of breaks the game, and cause she looks exactly like Kenny from South Park. You cannot tell me that's not him. Anyways, in this guide, I'm going to explain each one of Drifter's abilities, how to unlock the alternate ones, show you what I think is the most optimal loadout, give you the best items to pair with her, and at the very end, I'm going to show you how Drifter can break the game by generating infinite items. Like, this tech is so broken, I won't be surprised if they patch it soon. It's that good. But first, we need to unlock her. And to do this, we have to free her from the vault and solutional haunt. So, once you reach stage 3, find and interact with the node to spawn the Soulless Amalgamator, and once it has been defeated, go through the encrypted portal, then clear Conduit Canyon, go through the teleporter, beat the giant ball in solutional haunt. Alright, I'm gonna stand under him. I wanna see if I die. Oh! You do die if you stand under him. Go to the side room on the left, and get the Prism Matrix from here and here. Now, go back to the main room, and insert the first Prism Matrix here to unlock the vault, then insert the second Prism Matrix here, and now we have her as a playable character. Epic. Now, moving on to her abilities, let's start with her passive. Trash to Treasure. This allows Drifter to gain stackable buffs while carrying item scrap, which is such a good passive, especially early on in your runs. Common Scrap adds a 6% increase in movement speed, Uncommon Scrap adds an increase of 3 HP per second of regeneration, Legendary Scrap adds a 30% increase in attack speed, and Boss Item Scrap reduces skill cooldowns by 15%. It's nothing overpowered, but it's something to keep in mind if you're debating turning an item into scrap or not. Drifter's primary attack is Blunt Force, and while the range is abysmal, the damage is pretty solid, and it's always fun to hit things with your sack. The first 2 hits do 170% damage, and the third deals 350% and stuns enemies. Blunt Force also has a 40% chance to drop junk on each attack, and we'll get more into junk in a bit, but for now, just know that only Drifter can turn things into junk and pick junk up, and this bar right here tells you how much junk you have. I have a lot. Drifter's first secondary is Cleanup, which tosses a volley of debris for 4 by 100% damage, as well as a random projectile in your bag. The probability of a projectile getting thrown is different for each one, but if you take a look at this chart, you can see the odds for each item. You can also see what item is going to be thrown next by looking at what is sticking out of Drifter's bag, which is a really cool detail, but if you're actually paying attention to that, then you're a little greaseball that needs to touch grass. Cleanup is great for range, and it's definitely the better secondary option if you're struggling in that department, but unfortunately, it's not even close to being as cool as Drifter's alternate secondary ability, Junk Cube. To unlock Junk Cube, all you need to do is carry 20 temporary items at once, and this one is really easy. The timer for temporary items doesn't start until you pick them up, so you can just use Drifter's special ability, Salvage, to generate 4 items 5 different times, and there you go. Junk Cube is unlocked. I'll go more in depth on Salvage later, but for now, we have a cube to talk about. Activating your secondary slams down a junk cube for 400% damage, and hitting it will launch it at enemies, dealing 400% damage up to 3 times before exploding for 800% damage. And if that already doesn't sound broken enough, you can stand on it and aim upwards to fly on top of it to hit enemies in the air, or you can just aim up as soon as you spawn one and it'll launch it at those enemies instead. There seems to be so many different techs you can do with this thing, and it's just so fun. And if I had to pick between a glorified version of Engineer's Balls or an Awesome Cube, I'm picking the Awesome Cube any day of the week. Moving on to Drifter's utilities, the first is Repossess, and this one honestly might be cooler than the Junk Cube. Repossess allows you to leap forward and shove a monster or interactable into your sack. Then, you've got 2 options. You can either slam them into the ground for 280% damage, turning them into junk, or you can throw them back out, using them to deal damage to other enemies. There are a few enemies that don't like to stay in the sack very long, and of course you can't put the bosses in there, but that's where the limitations end, because the possibilities really are endless with this ability. You can pick up shrines and chests and move them wherever you want. You can throw the difficult enemies off the map, or at your friends, or even better, you can just throw them both off the map. Wait a second. No.
I actually don't think
can
I'm
pick
betting
you
on
up!
anybody.
Go get him, Mason. Wait, I guess I could protect you. Like, Like if you're about to get killed by Mithrix, I could heroically swipe in and steal you away.
Yeah.
And if that isn't enough, you can just turn all the chests into junk. And if you use Repossess, but don't actually grab anything, then it just propels you forward. So it can be used as a movement tool as well. Alright, I'm gonna do some epic parkour. Oh, fuck! The alternate ability is Tornado Slam, and in order to unlock it, you have to defeat a boss from the Challenge of the Mountain by tossing a Shrine of the Mountain at it. And this is by far the hardest challenge of the three, but if you go about it the right way, it's actually not that bad. The main step here is to add the Artifact of Prestige to your run, which spawns at least one Shrine of the Mountain every stage. This is the newest artifact that was added in the Alloyed Collective DLC, so if you haven't gotten it yet, type this code into the terminal thing on stage 5 and clear the wave of monsters in Bulwark's Ambry. Once you've added the artifact, just find the Shrine of the Mountain on stage 1, stuff it in your bag, spit it out next to the teleporter, and start the boss fight. The more stages you wait to do this, the harder it gets, because drones, AoE, or void enemies can just kill the boss at any point, so just resetting on the first stage with the Artifact of Prestige is your best bet. Once the boss is down to around 1,000 or 2,000 health, just grab the shrine and chuck it at his head, and you should get it. Once you unlock Tornado Slam, you'll soon realize that all the troubles you went through to get it were a waste, because this thing is a pile of hot ass compared to Repossess. It allows you to spin forward, smacking enemies for 170% damage per hit, and then slam for 400% damage. It is cool that you can ricochet off the heavier enemies, but I can't think of a single scenario where this would actually be more useful than stuffing enemies in your bag. And even if you can, it's still not as cool. So for that reason, I will not be using it. And now all we have left is Drifter's special abilities. The first is Salvage, which allows you to consume 8 junk to spawn 4 temporary items. This ability is crucial to the broken strategy that I'm going to explain at the end, so pay attention. The timer for temporary items doesn't start until you actually pick up the item, so you can generate as many items as you want and just wait until you're ready to use them before picking them up. Because temporary items are so good, really the only downside to this ability is its 30-second cooldown. But if you're able to find a lysate cell, which is the void item for the fuel cell, or any of these other cooldown reducing items, then you can drastically speed up the temporary item generating process. Drifter's alternate special ability is Tinker, which you can unlock by claiming the contents of the lost backpack in the vault in Solutional Haunt. This one is pretty simple. You just have to go all the way back to the vault where you unlock Drifter and interact with this backpack. And there's also all these other interactables as well that give you a bunch of items. Like Salvage, Tinker also consumes 8 junk and has a 30-second cooldown, and this ability casts a shockwave for 100% damage that applies a random debuff and tinkers with an item pickup or item holding interactable. You can use this on item shops, halcyon fragments, and printers to reroll all the items inside, and if used on an item on the ground, it turns it into scrap and gives you that item as a temporary item. And if you really want to save time, you can grab all the shops, printers, and chests you may want to reroll and put them all in the same spot. Then you can reroll them all at the same time. This ability is great for people who are sweats at the game, because now you can really ensure that you get all the best items in your run. I normally just use the Artifact of Command to do the same thing, but to each their own. Also, if you choose this special, you won't be able to do the game-breaking tech, so that's something to keep in mind when you're deciding which one you want to run. Now, I'm sure you're probably getting really antsy and want to know what this game-breaking tech is, so I guess it's time for me to tell you. In my opinion, the most optimal loadout for Drifter is Junk Cube, Repossess, and Salvage. With these abilities, you can spawn a Junk Cube, stuff it in your bag by using Repossess, then break it by punching the ground, and turn it into junk. By doing this over and over, you can essentially create an infinite junk generator, and each time you collect 8 junk, you can spawn 4 temporary items. If you repeat this over and over, you'll end up with a giant pile of temporary items that, once picked up, will turn you into an overpowered junk machine. Of course, you'll probably get attacked if you try and do this on one of the normal stages, but if you go to one of the many realms where time stands still, like the Newt realm, then you can generate as many items as you want. Really, the only downside to this is that all the items are temporary, so eventually they will disappear, but if you just do it right before a boss fight, you'll have them for enough time to clear it. Or you could just throw on the Artifact of Command, then you can choose a few items to grab stacks of, that way they'll last much longer than just a bunch of random items. Either way, if you're willing to take the time to generate a bunch of items, this tech absolutely breaks the game and turns Drifter into one of the most powerful survivors in Risk of Rain. Now, before you go, I would like to go over a few items you should try and search for while playing as Drifter. Of course, you're going to want to grab all the basics that are good on every character, but outside of those, Substandard Duplicator is great because it works on temporary items as well. So when you generate 4 temp items, you're actually getting 8, and they'll have a longer cooldown. Like I mentioned earlier, Lysate Cell and Bandolier are great because they reduce cooldowns, which is essential when running Salvage. Collector's Compulsion is really only good on Drifter. It increases all stats by 3% for 20 seconds, and because you're going to be picking up a ton of temporary items, it's worth it to grab a couple of these. Shuriken, Fireworks, and HEG Missiles are great items to grab at the start, because they can help clear those dreaded flying enemies the Drifter is not very good at reaching. Focus Crystal is also a good pickup because of how close you're going to be to all of the enemies. And finally, any barrier creating item is good as well, like Topaz Brooch and Aegis. And with that, that's just about everything there is to know about Drifter. If you're a fan of little trinkets and doodads, or if you relate to having to haul around a giant sack everywhere, then Drifter is gonna be the character for you. And if you want more Risk of Rain content like this, be sure to subscribe and check out my other videos, because I've got a few more bangers like this. Anyways, that's about it. See ya.